In this video we are going to talk about NIC Teaming. NIC Teaming is a new feature in Windows Server 2012, like most of the features that we covered in this series, and it's something that I think a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. It's a Microsoft supported teaming solution that does not require any third-party software. Like in the past, if you had Intel cards, you would use the Intel teaming software. This is fully integrated in Windows now. But let's see what's teaming actually. Teaming combines two or more NICs together so that the software above this layer sees them as only one NIC. And of course you could do this in order to have a bigger bandwidth, because it does bandwidth aggregation, or you would also want to have a failure protection. Maybe you have two NICs and one of them will be in standby in case the first one fails. The teaming provided in Windows Server 2012 is vendor and speed agnostic. That means that you could theoretically team an Intel card of 1 gigabit and maybe, I don't know, another Intel card of 10 gigabit or another brand of 10 gigabit or 1 gigabit and whatever you want. Although it would be advisable that you stick to the same speed and the same model. And like many things in Windows Server 2012 and up, NIC Teaming is integrated in Server Manager and also has a lot of PowerShell commandlets, so you can automate most of the tasks related to it. Before we continue, I want to discuss two basic terms that I want to make sure you know what they mean. First is the notion of team members. Team members are the hardware network adapters that are on your server that can be added to any network team. Team interfaces or team NICs are virtual network adapters that are exposed by the team after it is created. And the OS and other software will consider this virtual adapter as a normal network adapter. This basically would be the place where you set the IP address, default gateway and so on after you create a team, not on the team members. Let's also discuss types of teams. So first, based on load distribution, meaning how the output and input are treated, we have address hash teaming and Hyper-V port teaming. We also have two connection modes. One is switch independent, which is my favorite, let's say. In this mode, the team members can be connected to more than one network switch, and the best thing is that the switch does not require any configuration, as compared to switch dependent mode, in which your NICs have to be connected to the same switch, and that switch has to be configured so it knows that some NICs with teaming are connected to it. So I really like switch independent. Now let's talk about the team interfaces. Team interfaces, when you create them, they can be in two modes. First is the default mode, and the default mode permits all traffic to pass through that interface, except traffic that is destined for another team interface that has that VLAN ID assigned to it. So if you have two interfaces, one is in default mode and one is in VLAN 21 mode, everything that is not for VLAN 21 goes through the default, everything that is for VLAN 21 goes through the VLAN 21 team interface. And we get to the second one that I just explained, the VLAN mode, in which each interface has a VLAN and traffic tagged with that VLAN ID is permitted to go through. And for a specific team, only the first team interface can be in default mode. Let's move on to team members. Team members can be either active or standby. Active means that the interface passes through traffic. Standby means that the interface is not used and it's waiting for another one to be in a failed state so it can take its place. And teams can have either all active members or can have a combination of active and standby members. Depends on what you want to do. As far as limits go, a team can have a maximum of 32 network cards in it and can have a maximum of 32 team interfaces. Also on a server you can have maximum 42 teams. So number 42 really is the magical number here. But be careful because not all of these three limits can be achieved together. So you can't have 42 teams with 42 NICs each team and each team will expose 42 interfaces. It would be a very big number. And one last thing, NIC Teaming also is supported in Hyper-V virtual machines. For a Hyper-V VM, you can only have 2 NICs in a team, not more. And all the adapters that are attached to a virtual machine have to be configured for NIC Teaming. There's a setting in the virtual adapter that permits it to be used in a team. Also, if that network adapter is not linked to an external switch, it will not work, the team will not work. And the 2 network adapters have to be connected to separate switches, not in the same switch. So let me show you an example of what a team member and a team interface mean. Let's consider that we are on a server and that server has a couple of network cards attached to it. Four network cards. N1, N2, N3, N4. And we will take all these 4 network cards and attach them to a team or add them to a team. So we will take all of this and create a big team out of them. And the team will be called team, which is very original. Now, very important, all these 4 network cards do not have any more IP settings because they are added to a team. You cannot set IP or DNS settings on them. The only place where you can set IP settings is to the team interface that will be exposed from this team. So from this we will have, to our eyes it will look like another network card, team NIC 1 for example. And this is what the server sees as its network card from now on. This will have the IP settings, the default gateway, subnet mask, DNS servers, Win servers, and so on. We will also see an example of what this means in the next video when we will configure a team.